Recent stuff, we'll have to talk about Backlash. We haven't done that yet on this show. It was a one-match show, really. I did think Bobby Lashley versus Drew McIntyre was awesome. I liked that a lot. I didn't like the finish with Lana. It was difficult, actually, because it made sense, the Lana finish, didn't it? Like, it was always going to happen. I think I'd even predicted that on my What Culture video. Make sure you subscribe to them as well. So, it was probably something that they had to do, but it wasn't necessarily something that I enjoyed just from a whatever point of view, but it did make sense. And I have no problem with Drew McIntyre holding on to the title. As Raw showed, we're continuing on not only with breaking Lana and Bobby Lashley up, but also getting the MVP Bobby Lashley relationship going, probably another match with Drew down the line. So that's good booking. But really, it was all about the Randy Orton versus Edge greatest match ever thingy to Bob. Now, was it the greatest match ever? No, not for my money, but if you thought it was, that was awesome. But it was pretty damn good. And when we get to the end of 2020, it will certainly be on my, well, unless something amazing happens, but I think it would be in my contention of, one of the best wrestling matches I've seen this year. And an argument has now kind of broken out about how we can treat it and how we can talk about it because it was pre-recorded and therefore they did double takes and this and that. I really don't care about that. I don't. As a wrestling fan, when I sit down and watch it, the only thing I give a shib about is, did I enjoy what I just saw? I also believe that it's the longest non-stipulation match in WWE history at 44 minutes. Obviously, most matches longer than that, or Iron Man matches, and no other non-stip match has gone that long, so that's kind of cool. But I just thought it was tremendously, tremendously well paced out. I thought the storytelling was great. I thought Edge reminded us of how good he can be as a wrestler. Randy Orton right now, to me, is arguably the best wrestler in the world. Definitely the best wrestler in WWE. But, if you look at AEW, you want to talk about Cody, New Japan, we'll talk about Okada, whatever. To me, right now, Randy Orton has found his apex, and he's absolutely smashing it. So, yeah, I'm getting a massive kick out of Randy Orton right now. But yeah, I just thought that match was fire. And I like the fact it ended, with Randy Orton cheating, because the idea was to try and find out who the best wrestler was. And Orton was like, well, I can't figure out a way, so I'm just going to boot him in the balls. Excellent. Genuinely excellent. I watched it twice because I'm a massive nerd. I'm a massive loser. I mean, look, some people didn't like it, and that's fine. I think the tagline of greatest wrestling match ever was always going to upset some people, right? I totally get that. But yeah, a huge fan of it. Really, really enjoyed it. It's obviously Edge tore his triceps, which means he's going to be out for a long time, which is a massive shame. But I guess as long as he can get back to 100%, it will serve the story. If he pops back up later in the year and whoops Randy Orton's ass, that will be quite good. But yeah, 2 thumbs up from me. And I guess we should talk about the Viking Raiders Street Profits thing. Look, if you liked it, great. If you didn't like it, great. I don't understand why people started yelling at each other online about it. Like some guy, to me, the reason he was so mad, and he delivered it in a perfectly fair way, which is fine. But his whole point was, well, I think that the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders are top-tier talent, which they are, and they're being used like goofs. And I do understand that, but I know that they enjoyed it because nobody can do that stuff like the way they're doing it with the smiles on their face. You could just tell. It resonates out of the television screen. So they don't mind. Therefore, I mind a little bit less. And on top of that, it's difficult. Was it dumb? Yes. Was it ridiculous? Yes. Was it out of nowhere? Yes. Was it goofy? Yes. I'm not trying to argue any of this. But again, much like Raw, I wasn't bored, ever. At one point, was I bored? I wasn't. In fact, I quite enjoyed it. I don't know why, but I quite enjoyed it. It put a smile on my face, mostly because it was so bad it was good. I think Will Ospreay compared it to Sharknado, which I actually thought was quite a good comparison. It was ninjas. There was a tool guy. There was glass being shattered. Oh man, I made the joke that Godzilla was in the dumpster truck. I know it was a Star Wars reference, but that's boring. I'm never doing that again. Never wind up Star Wars nerds. This is what I learned. I don't know. I completely understand why it was divisive. I completely understand this in this sort of no fan era or closed door era. We're doing a lot more of this stuff. I had a good time. Well, that's all I can say. I had a good time. I didn't necessarily think it was the best thing I'd ever seen. Far from it. But it was just so stupid. I like goofy stuff. I'm immature, clearly. I'm a juvenile moron, and I should be thrown in the bin. But yeah, that's how I felt about it. It was. As for Backlash as a whole, I will say it was a mixed event. Without that main event, I don't know what we'd be talking about, but a lot of it we can talk about as we go through Raw.